Hello and welcome to another edition of Two Old Farts Making Noises. I
Woo, you
know
got the
that
name right today. Look
I
at
know
you. Look
I
at
know
you taking that medicine.
I know that, Stephen, because I've been practicing that. I had to write that on. I had to write that on the blackboard 50 times so I could
Wow.
remember it. Yeah, I
Good to
know.
know.
I know. It's an age thing. We're globetrotting again. We're back to the USA. And our guest today, I know absolutely nothing about, which is going to be fantastic to find out. I do know a few sort of hit words, so we're going to start with those. The lady's name is melharts. She's a digital artist. She's a photographer, and as far as I understand, a former tattoo artist. And I've got a funny feeling we're going to end up talking about New York as well. But good afternoon to you, Mel, and tell us a little bit more about how you became an
Mel.
artist. Yeah.
Well, good morning, first of all. It is pretty early here. I do live in the United States. I live in North Carolina. Um, I've always been an artist. Ever since I was little, I was picking up pens and crayons and drawing on the wall. And when I ran out of paper, and I'm pretty sure I gave my mom a lot of headaches.
So I have a question though. So you were originally, David's going to hate this and I'm going to enjoy every moment. So you're originally from Plattsburgh, New York.
Yes,
So you're a Yankee and then you went
yes,
down south.
yes.
Maybe we forgive you. So why did you go? Why did you leave the great state of New York? And it's still Plattsburgh, but it's not the city. But why did you move from New York to North Carolina? Is that for more of your art, or is that just a personal preference?
It was actually a bit more for health reasons.
Oh, okay.
I have fibromyalgia.
Mhm.
I was diagnosed with it back in 2009. And as the years went on, the worse the winters got for me. The older I got, the more it affected me.
Okay.
So it got to a point when winter hit and I was having to hold on to the walls of my house to walk down to the bathroom. And I said, this is for the birds. Enough is enough.
Right.
So I moved my family all the way south to North Carolina, where we still have seasons, but not 8 months of winter.
I was just gonna say you don't live in the snow 8 months out of the year and sit in 20-degree weather. I have a friend in Watertown, so I know that. He used to invite me to come up in June and July, and I'm like, dude, it's still 65 degrees. You're like, yeah, that's a high. I'm like, yeah, that's not happening. That's 65 Fahrenheit for you people you know in the rest of the world, and that's basically like, if you will, 15 Celsius. So there you go.
Yeah, I mean, I've become spoiled by the southern weather, so we hit 65 and 55 here, and I start being like everybody else and being cold and putting on thick socks and two pairs of pants.
That's
Fun
funny.
fact, my relatives are actually from Watertown and Messina and Brushton.
Wow. So they're almost Canadian.
Yeah, just about.
Just
Just just a boot.
Yeah, just the boot. That's correct. For the people that don't know where Watertown is literally, you like Sarah Palin used to say, I could see Russia from Alaska. You can literally see Canada from Watertown. It's like right across the little river there. So, but
Hmm.
I have a he loves it there and he would never leave. He's been there 30 years. And when he first got there, I'm like, do they have electric indoor plumbing? It was very cool. So, all right, David, enough about New York. Now back to our guest. So
Yeah.
you started as, David, you always go off topic. I don't understand this.
Yeah.
So Mel, you started as
It's an age thing, Stephen. It's an age
I
thing.
see that. You started as a tattoo artist or you started as a digital artist?
Um, Actually started sort of commercially into art with
Okay.
tattoos.
Okay. So
Um,
what are you known for, anything famous, or did you do someone famous that if someone said, oh my God, that's the person who did XYZ tattoo?
no, I'm famous
Okay.
in my very small circle.
Okay. That's
Uh,
that's good. That's how we found you, in our small circle. So we like that.
there it is.
So, and
And
then from tattoo, you went to digital?
yes, there was actually a stretch in between. I was a tattoo artist for about 14 years.
Okay.
And then again, as I got older, the fibromyalgia started to really affect how I functioned.
Okay.
And
Can you explain to people what that is? Because you mentioned it and people are going to be, some people aren't going to know what that is. So what is that exactly, so they understand?
it's really hard to explain because they're still researching it.
Okay.
Fibromyalgia, from the way that I understand it, is
Yes.
it's the way in which your brain processes pain
Mhm.
is not like normal people. So if I'm having a flare up, my husband can come and just jokingly like poke me. on the shoulder, and it will feel like he straight out punched me.
Wow.
My nerves in my body are 1,000 times more sensitive to pain.
Okay.
So I have arthritis in my spine, and I actually had a spinal fusion about 5 years ago. And when I had my spinal fusion was when I sort of switched over to digital art, because I was off of my feet for a number of weeks and I couldn't go out and take my pictures or get up and go do any tattooing or carving or anything like that. So I started playing around with Photoshop, and it was my very first experience with Photoshop, and it just kind of opened my eyes as to all of the cool things that were possible to do with digital art. Along with that, it sort of left the door open for me to still be able to create in a way that would not have been available to me if digital art weren't a thing.
Right. So now you create, we've seen your digital art because we're all friends on, if you will, on Two Old Farts, and you are on LinkedIn together. So we get to see everything that you do, which is absolutely gorgeous. So
I'm a sharer.
I like to share. So tell us then, you started to do your digital art, and then when did you say, you know what, this could, I'm assuming you sell it, but do you sell it as, if it's only digital, so you're selling it only as an NFT? So how did that come about, where you decided you wanted just to do NFTs with your digital art?
So the NFTs, I kind of fell into the NFT black hole in researching cryptocurrency and how to maybe set myself up with some sort of a financial nest egg for my husband and I. Okay. I stumbled into a Twitter group and heard somebody talking about NFTs, and I was like, well, what's this? So me being me, I went online and did like hours of research and it clicked on a light in my head, and it made me realize that there's this huge possibilities there for NFTs and Web3 for smaller, less known artists like myself to be able to take their passion and put it into something and have it come back to them and take care of them, whether it be through praise or financially. And everybody wants to be able to create their passion and get something back for it. So that's kind of where I found myself in the NFT space.
Very cool.
I'm still seeing the possibilities
of it. Well, the good thing is that our sister company, Noisy Panda, does that. And then Two Old Farts, if I'm not mistaken, in October or November, will have its platform up. So all the artists we interview can sell NFTs on the Two Old Farts platform. So Two Old Farts Making Noise. Yeah. So, but remember, expectations are really low. So let's not get carried away. So yeah, we'll make that big announcement once we have everything worked out, but we're finalizing that. So yeah, hopefully in the next, say, 30 or 60 days, all the artists that we've interviewed, if they want to put their stuff up on the Two Old Farts platform, they can put it up there and people can buy it. I have to shamelessly plug stuff, or then David yells at me, but he won't remember what he's yelling at. So it's always fun.
Hey, that's okay. So, you know what I'll do? I will make a collection just for the Two Old Farts platform.
There you go. That would be awesome.
Fantastic.
So
yeah, I was fascinated, Mel, really to go back to let's say the early part of your career as a tattoo artist. For my sins, I used to have a lot of clients who were tattoo artists. That's another story in another life. A fascinating world, but kind of split down the middle, because half of them were sort of just tattooing photocopies of stuff out of a book. And then every so often you'd find people that were just could actually freehand and freestyle. Where did you fall? Were you a freestylist? Because that it's a dangerous place to be, yeah?
It is. So I am actually a self-taught tattoo artist.
Yeah. So did you start tattooing melons and that sort of stuff, to oranges, to
I started on myself. I got a really bad tattoo. I paid a lot of money for it. It was a little lizard, and when I got home, it had one number of toes on 3 feet and a different number of toes on another foot. And I was really confused by it. So I looked at it, and I was, again, really sad that I paid that much money for it. And I was like, I've been drawing for a really long time. I bet I could do this. And it just kind of took off from there. I bought myself a tattoo kit, and started tattooing on myself. And then I had a lot of friends who were like, well, yeah, give me one. And when my skills improved, I was able to take exchanges of money for it. I'm not really sure how to say that.
You got paid to tattoo people. I think that's
Yeah.
what you would say. Yeah. When you say it the other way, it sounds dirty. I like it, but you just basically took money for. I got exchanges for money for it. Well, it's not like street pharmaceuticals, so you're good. You're allowed to get paid to do this. I'm assuming.
Well, when you're a tattoo artist,
Right.
I don't know how different it is for each state, but I know in the states that I was in, they would not approve you for a tattoo license unless you were working inside of a legitimate shop or
Okay.
starting your own.
So you did this all in Mexico. Totally understand. Sure. You got paid in Mexico to tattoo people.
Yeah.
I understand that. Sure.
I got paid in love.
I got lots of hugs as I was a child. So
I got paid in love.
okay.
Yeah, as far as I understand it, here in the Netherlands, it's what they call a vrij beroep. So you just register as an artist, and off you go. Yeah, if you're
I'm
going
going
to
to the Netherlands.
if you're going to practice, yeah, and you're going to open a door for clients to come in, you have to have certain hygiene licenses and that sort of thing. But nobody
Right.
comes and says, how many toes on a lizard. That's that's kind of, yeah, up to the particular artists themselves to and their skill levels. And we have from all sorts of stuff, from artists right through to scarification. So all of that is considered to be, an open career opportunity.
Well, the health risk comes into play. Before I was a tattoo artist, I was actually a certified nurse's aide.
Oh, wow.
So I was very familiar with bloodborne pathogens and cross-contamination. So I took that knowledge from being a nurse's aide and carried it with me into tattoos so that I didn't have anybody getting sick or getting infections. I was always very cautious about my tools and my materials and my setup and staying clean for, not only myself's sake, but for everybody else's sake. And thankfully, because I took those steps, I never had anybody get any infections or anything like that from any tattoos that I did. They all healed fine.
In Mexico that you did them in. So yes,
Yes.
that's important. That's important to keep in mind that all these tattoos were done outside the United States, and
Absolutely.
except the ones she might have done on herself, which is totally legal apparently. So
That's right.
Yeah.
I did a lot on myself.
Okay.
Did you post something, Mel, recently about the inks? That there was a big hoo-ha about that, because that's the big thing here as well.
And it should be.
Yeah.
It really should be. Through my experience with tattoos, I discovered that there were certain brands of ink that were better to use than others. My skin is very sensitive, so I was noticing early on that some of the off-brand tattoo inks that I was using were reacting funny. And in my research, I discovered that it's not regulated by any kind of an agency that says, here, this is safe, here, this is not safe. And in that article I was reading, a good majority of the inks that people are able to get easily off Amazon or eBay contain higher than suitable levels of lead and other chemicals in it, as well as the new study was talking about something with UV light and the tattoo inks reacts badly with each other and can seriously increase your risk of cancer. Which I've got like 80% of my body covered with tattoos. You can't see me below the neck, but I have a lot of tattoos. So as I get older, that is going to be more concerning for me.
Right. Well, you're only 21, so you're fine. Don't worry about it. You have a lot of good years left.
Yeah.
Thank you. You can double that though.
I'm going to be really flippant now, Mel, and say that was that boredom then, or that you just tattooed yourself, or just practice?
I really loved tattoos and I wanted more, but I didn't have the money to pay for them. So, and it was also a struggle to try to relay to the tattoo artist how I wanted the art of my body to look, because as an artist, I'm just a teensy bit particular about it.
Yeah. And do you think it's an addiction? Because I mean, obviously, your body goes into this sort of has this chemical reaction while you're being tattooed. I mean, I've seen guys sitting in tattoo chairs that have been, the sizes of two large American fridges, and and they'll do something on their neck or something or somewhere in a very sensitive place, and they turn around and the guy's flat, gone out completely on the floor. And you'll have another young lady in her early 20s be tattooed everywhere in all the most painful places, not react to it. Yeah. So it's not just a big guys thing, but it's also there's something happens to your body, doesn't it, when you're being tattooed? So
yeah, it releases like a tattoo artist, they should be telling their clients to eat first before they come and get tattooed, because that rush of adrenaline is often the reason why people pass out during tattoos. It's the pain releases chemicals that make you feel good. It's kind of a masochistic thing. I've always believed you have to be a little bit of a masochist to give tattoos. You have to enjoy that a little bit.
Nice. I'm a sadist, actually. I was walking with a friend that's a masochist, and he asked me to beat him, and I told him next week. But no, I totally understand what you're saying. But I'm here till Thursday. Try the veal, tip the staff. So I never knew that. See, I don't have any tattoos. I have friends that have them, and I've never really said to them, tell me about this. I always see they come, and I mean this in the night with the saran wrap. And I'm always like, what, are we going to put you in the oven? And they're like, no, I have to keep it covered for 3 days. And then there's some people we know, they made this natural ointment and they put it on. They don't have to wrap. It's a whole thing, but I know there's a whole industry there. And it's just not my thing. I think it's very cool that people can do it. And I think, whether you have 80% of your body covered or you have one little, like, the girls in college always get like the little butterfly at the ankle, right? Because they're like, I was rebellious, and then that's it. So I think that's very cool. But in my generation we were just like, tattoos, that's whatever. Yeah. So, but everybody's a little different, I think. But it's very cool. Some of them are gorgeous. I've seen some that I'm like, you just want to, if you could take that off of them and put them on the wall, they are just works of art. And, there are some artists that I know people go to and pay lots and lots of money, like a price of a home to have a tattoo done. And it's like looking at the Mona Lisa. So, and there's other artists, like you said, that make a gecko with, 15 toes. But.
Yes.
Yeah, well, it seems to be kind of split down the middle here because it's like they have these books full of virtual these photocopies, and they just put them over and they sort of tattoo over it, and then off you go. You've got your tattoo. But I once went to a tattoo parlor it was a client of mine in the middle of Holland, and the owner who I normally saw wasn't there, but the girl was on the desk. She said, "Oh, there's somebody working downstairs. You can wait down and have a cup of coffee." And I went downstairs, and there was a girl. I think she was Romanian or a Czech from Czechoslovakia, freehanding on the back of this girl, and my I was just stunned by the absolute beauty of it. What it will look like when she's 80, that's something
which better work out every single
which is debatable.
Lots of lotion.
Yeah, but to see somebody do it freehand for the first time I've seen them do it freehand, because I've been saying a lot of tattoo parlors, was just what you think, okay, these people are seriously talented. And it's a permanent place, isn't it? Because you're also what your clients are your sort of billboard walking around showing your art.
Exactly. My least favorite thing as a tattoo artist was people having other people's names put on them. Like partners, okay? Right. Kids, moms, dads, aunts, uncles, somebody who's passed, pets, that's fine. But for the love of God, people, please do not put your partner's name on your body. It jinxes the relationship.
Yeah, that's true. We'll look at Angelina Jolie and Billy Bob, right? They had to take each other's names. I never got that. It's like, I love you forever. I'm going to put it in ink. I'm like, yeah. Get married and get a piece of paper.
You have to go cross it out when everything goes bad.
That's right. It's like,
so you have some,
it's like,
you have some people, of course, who've got a whole list of them all down their arms as they're all crossed out. Like.
Like a void stamp.
That's right. Void, next. So I like that. Yeah. So now, do you have? We can see your digital art, and this goes also YouTube and podcasting. So the podcasting people, if they want to see it, will have to find us and figure it out. So before we have you shamelessly plug stuff, Do you have stuff that you can show us of your digital art?
I do. I can do a share screen of
share,
my
sure.
website.
I actually know how to do that now. So it's very exciting for me. So I say that, and then of course I try to, and it won't work. So hold on a second.
It's taken us about 2 months to work this out, but we've got there in the end.
All right, listen.
So our apologies to all the podcast listeners now, because you're going to have to go to twooldfarts.vip to see the art underneath Melharts' profile on her profile page. But for the viewers now on YouTube, let's look at the art.
There you go.
All right. So first, before I share my screen, let me shamelessly plug my very first book.
Please,
yes,
please.
That's how I found you, Mel, with a picture with your mum and dad. I thought that was
fantastic.
I thought that was so good. Anyway, that's me.
So I've written my first book.
Yeah. There you go.
I'll just talk over it. This is a fantasy story about a 9-year-old girl named Hope who discovers quite suddenly she has a magical ability to travel to other worlds. So I have self-published this book, and all of the art inside the book I have also done myself.
Wow. Now, where does somebody buy this book other than they go to us to find you? How they could do if they don't want to go to us?
It's on Amazon.
Okay.
You can buy a Kindle, a paperback, or a hardcover, and the link to the Amazon is on my website, which I will share.
Okay, and David will have that as well. So anybody listening,
we will put that.
Track it down on the whatever the website is, VIP thing, and he'll make sure that it's all there for you.
Okay, it seems to me you should have named it something that was a little bit easier for both of you to say.
I know. Listen, between the both of us. You got the Jew from New York and the Brit. Please, we can barely speak English between the two of us. It's great.
Yeah, and nobody was surprised when we ended up being. We were called the twooldfarts, it would seem. So it just seemed like a logical thing to sort of,
next step.
It really started. We really started as two old white guys, and then all our guests thought that was really cute. Yeah. And then other people were like, that may not go good over time. And we had guests of color, and they thought that was the coolest name. They're like, I love it. And they loved being on it. And then we said, we have to change it to Two Old Farts. And they're like, all right, we'll still come on your show. I'm like, thanks. So it's Two Old Farts Making Noises instead of two old white guys doing whatever. So we figured the Two Old Farts is just a little more, I don't know, politically correct or just more fun. We're not sure.
No, I love it. I love it. It goes with the making noises.
Yeah, and we do. David, Annette tells me David makes noises all night. So
I do the same.
I know.
I do.
Please show us your artwork. No one wants to hear about our noises. Well, they may, but that's another show with some doctors. So
all right. So full stop confession. I've never shared my screen in Zoom before.
Okay, so this will be fun. This is a world exclusive first.
There it is. There it is. All right. So let's see. Okay.
There we go. It's sharing. There you are. Melharts art. You put yourself on mute though.
Oh yeah.
Yep. Which is good, but we actually want to hear you. Let me see if I can unmute her.
Have you muted her, Stephen?
I did not. I did not mute our little friend here. So let me see if I can unmute her. I'm not sure why she's muted. Nope, she's gonna have to unmute herself. I cannot unmute her. There you go. No. Let's see. There's a little button down there that's red, and you muted yourself.
Yeah. Let me just see if I can give her an
There you go.
Here we go.
Good. Yay, Mel's back with us. We're good. We're good.
Yeah. It was apparently because my website has some sound on it somewhere.
That's okay.
Okay. Well, you see, if this was a professional show, we would have put an advertising, bit into that, but it's not, and we don't know how to do it. So,
it's too much work.
Podcast people have probably fallen asleep or gone over to something else now, but you're going to miss it all. We're back to Mel, and she's sharing the screen with us. So, okay.
Okay, so yeah, this is my website. I have worked long and hard creating this all by myself. I don't have a team. I have a team of amazing friends and connections that are now my family, but I have done this over time.
But I mean, this is the stuff that we see on LinkedIn almost, if you will, daily from you. So the stuff is phenomenal. So we're like, we love the stuff that you're doing. This is gorgeous. So the people that aren't seeing this because they're listening, you really need to go and take a look at the of our artwork, or I should say our digital artwork and our NFTs.
And that website is www.melharts. That's MELHEARTS.art.
.art. Okay.
Yes, .art. So down here, I have some art on Lupe Art, which is an app that is streaming on Amazon, Apple Fire, or Apple TV, Fire TV, LG, Samsung, and it's all of our art is streaming all in a row in one big long animated video, and it has links to these particular pieces that are also on OpenSea.
Oh, and I like that you can do prints available too. So I like that you do both. So you do poly digital, which is nice because artists that we have, we always say we like poly digital because in Asia we find NFTs is cred. In America and in Europe, if you're 14 years old, it is. But like I like to collect art, so I like art I hang on the wall. So with our artists, we're like, if they buy your NFT, they get the art, so price accordingly, or vice versa. So down the road, if somebody dies and something becomes worth money, I can keep the original and get rid of the NFT. That's kind of, so if they do both, we always like that. We think there's some value there.
Exactly. And whether the marketplace I'm on offers that or not, I always include a download link to the file of the NFT in everything that I do.
Excellent.
Because, I feel like if you're buying it, then you're going to want a copy for you. You're going to want to be able to take it and print it out, or, make it your screensaver, desktop, or hang it on your wall. So I try to make sure that people have that option there with my art.
Well, we hope very much when you come and join us that that you do it in a slightly different way, Mel, that you're doing limited edition prints that you can sign. And then just send them out to people, because that is going to have something of you. And going back to what Stephen said, that's very much what we want to do. We always want to link physical art with the NFTs.
Absolutely.
So hopefully when when you're doing that little project for us, which I'm really excited about seeing what you're going to do, limited edition prints. How many are limited is entirely up to you. It depends on how long you want to take to sign stuff, and and stick them in a mailbox. But
and actually, in a couple of weeks, last week, or I should say a couple of days ago, depending on people watch this. So a few weeks ago, we had a blockchain Gandalf on our show. And in a couple more weeks, we're going to have blockchain Gandalf on again. Actually, we're going to interview him on Labor Day, and it'll come out in 2 or 3 weeks. But this next show is going to discuss, and thank you for saying it. The next show is going to discuss the rights that artists really can and can't give with smart contracts. So with NFTs, because everyone's like, oh, you buy the art, you only own what you're actually given. And since it's in infancy, and this is what he does for a living, we're going to discuss, if you're an artist or if you're someone buying it, what you really need to know. So it may be something you may want to watch. If not, then David and I will be really smart, and we'll be very excited about that. But we think that it'll be a good educational show for everybody, because it's just going to be one of those things where if you don't know, now you know, because everyone says, oh, you'll get a commission for life. Do this. Not so much. So we figured it's good to give people education, especially artists like you that are, doing wonderful work. And, down the road, you're hoping to get this trailing revenue stream. And what people can and can't do with your art. Like, everyone thinks they own it and they can put it on the side of a building or on a t-shirt. Not so. It has to say that. So there's a whole thing with that. But like I said, your stuff is absolutely gorgeous. So if people watching, you can literally buy her stuff everywhere. It's streaming everywhere. So
you can get it with a credit card, you can get it with crypto, you can get it with PayPal.
There you go.
Yeah. And the book. Mel, going back to the book, you said you self-published it. Was that crowdfunded then, or does that come out of your own pocket? I mean, how did that all work?
Actually, it was really easy. I used Kindle Direct Publishing.
Okay.
And looked up the templates that I would need and just sort of wrote my book inside of the template, and then used their Kindle program to transfer it over into the format they needed to publish it on the Amazon website. It actually didn't cost me anything to publish.
Nice.
Which was really, really cool.
So let me ask you this though: did someone proof this Kindle? And it's kind of stupid. Does Kindle proofread it, or who proofreads it to make sure? Because if I write, it's just one long sentence. It'd be 700 pages of a sentence, and there's got to be paragraphs I understand and punctuation, which is crazy. But so how does that work?
Well, they have people that go through, and there's from the time you submit, it has to be approved. I don't know what the approval process consists of. I like 3 and 4 times checked mine before I sent it in to be published.
Okay.
But I don't think they have anybody that, because they never sent me back anything like, oh, you should change this. So they just kind of leave it up to the author with the self-publishing to check over the work and make sure that they're spelling things correctly and using the proper grammar.
Oh, very cool.
But it's not just an ebook, is it? It's a physical book. So, so you're saying that didn't cost you anything either. So you have a revenue share. You have a revenue share with Amazon, I take it.
Well, no. What it is with the Kindle Direct Publishing, they print on demand. So when somebody orders a physical copy, hardcover or a paperback, they actually print the book, and then they charge the customer once the book has been printed and kind of looked over and approved to make sure that it's printed properly. And then the cost of the printing actually comes out of my profit. Yeah. So I'm only getting like $4.20 for each book, regardless of which version it is that people buy.
Yeah. So it's a bit like the print on demand merchandising as well. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean. But hey, you have a book, you're a publisher, you're an author, you published it, you're shamelessly promoting it. I mean, how many people can say that,
Exactly.
Wow.
And for me, it's not really about what I'm getting back monetarily for the book. It's more about getting the story out, because I have the book is actually a very small fraction of the story that is racing around inside my head. I intend to turn it into a series. So what's important to me is being able to share it with people. And Amazon's a great way to do that. NFTs are also a great way to do that. I have been airdropping the crap out of my books in NFTs as well.
Oh, so you can do it both. You're doing it both ways then, NFT and physical. That's cool. And and the NFT selling better than the book?
The NFT is actually selling a little bit better than the book.
Okay. I like that. That's very, very nice.
Thank you.
So it's the NFT of the book, Mel? Is that what you're doing, or just for the illustrations within the book?
I created an NFT out of some of the images from inside the book, and a couple of them are actually sneak peeks from book 2. And I attached the PDF of the published PDF of the book in the unlockable content of the NFT.
Oh, wow. That's
nice.
Yeah, because we had spoken to some people, I think, in Ireland, Stephen, about NFTs in books, and that was a fascinating business model, which not a lot of, certainly in Europe, not a lot of people have picked up on. So yeah, that's great. But this is so it's going to be like the Game of Thrones now. Then it's going to be endless books coming out for you. And
well, I don't know about endless. I have a lot going on.
Listen, the minute HBO calls her and says we're going to buy your book and make it a series, then endless books will be coming. And she'll wear a little baseball cap or whatever he wears, and she'll just walk around with braces all day in Beverly Hills going, I'm writing my book, leave me alone. So,
that's right. No, melharts is going to take over the world. I hope you
there you go. Nothing wrong with that. You're more than welcome to.
On my website, I do have a page dedicated to my book. And any future books that come out, I will update it as I can. So if you travel to that page, you can actually get to the Amazon website. Right on the page. Cool. With the buy it here.
Buy it here, people. Let's go. Chop, chop.
Buy it here.
So what about your friends in your hobby? Are they sort of think, oh wow, because you go to the other dinner party, not the one that Steve and I are now having with you, but the other dinner party, and because this is the one without food, and you say, well, I'm an author, I'm a digital artist, I'm a photographer, I publish NFTs. I mean, wow. I mean, that's a really big social CV that you have. How do your friends and family react to that?
My mom thinks I'm doing too much. Every time something new comes up, she's like, well, how are you going to have time to do this? You're doing so much. And I'm like, look, this is the way I operate. I really need you to stop worrying. I'm happy.
That's great.
My husband supports me. He loves that I'm happy. But until everything is more serious, I don't think he's going to take it seriously.
Oh, you
Like when
mean
HBO calls her and says, listen, we're buying your book for $1 million, then he's gonna be like, oh, honey, this is like a job.
Right.
So,
when I'm selling my art for a few thousand a piece is
Okay.
is when to him will know that I've made it in my goal of being a celebrated artist.
There you go. Well, we're celebrating you, so you've made it. Listen, how many people did come on Two Old Farts Making Noises and do this, to global fans of 12? Seriously.
Yeah.
So
Hey, I'm stepping right on up.
Yeah,
there you go.
I mean, who knows where this is going to take all of us, it's, yeah. So, what my son always says to me, because I mean, I've no idea sometimes what he's talking about, but he says to me, are you making any Benjamins? Is what he says to me.
That means, are you making money?
Yeah, right.
Benjamin Franklin was $100 bill here in the United States. For you guys, he was just a guy that would just go to France and be with certain type of women. But don't worry about that.
Yeah.
So.
No, my husband has been so incredibly supportive. He really has. He has supported me every step of the way, and he has encouraged me. In the beginning, it was rough because I wasn't really making any sales. Nobody was paying attention. Nobody was really seeing my art, and he encouraged me to just keep at it. He kept reminding me that I'm doing this because I love to create and to try to keep that as my main focus, because anything else would dilute my passion for it. And it was probably the best advice he's ever given me.
He was 100% correct. Your stuff is absolutely gorgeous, and it's very, I look at it very mystical, very, and some of it's out there, and I'm like, that is awesome. Like that stuff, I'll be like, I put that on my wall somewhere. Like that's like, boom. So to me, it's just very, very nice stuff. And the book, that's awesome. We didn't know about that. That's very cool. That's very impressive. Like David said, you're like a Renaissance woman. So that's very, very, very nice.
Yeah. And now I'm going to send you a PDF copy of it, both of you, so you can read it.
Cool.
Yeah.
David only likes things with pictures, just so you know.
Well, I mean, it has pictures. It has some of these other things called words, David.
Words.
And big letters,
like
really
the old fart letters. Yeah, we need font of 27, but
you can zoom in on the PDF. You can make it bigger.
David knows I love to read, so I will read this, and we'll give a book review then on Two Old Farts. So
fantastic.
Which will be our smart ass book review, of course, but I'm sure we'll love it. So I'm looking forward to that. That'll be a fun read.
Originally a New Yorker, I can take it.
Okay, I was gonna say. Well, you're in Platts. Let's not get carried away. You're like kind of like New York lights. I mean, like not New York. Like people from Buffalo tell me they're from New York.
Can I just apologize to all our viewers and listeners now? We seem to be back onto New York. Over to Stephen. There are, as far as I know, there are actually other cities on the planet, but over to Stephen.
Listen, just so we're clear, there's no other place on the planet. It's New York. And the New York City, and will encompass Plattsburgh and Watertown. But really, other than that, there's nothing. All right, let's just go with what it really is. There's the place. So
we're both in places that don't exist, apparently.
There you go. So, well, it's the 1972 New Yorker cover of the New Yorker magazine that was New Yorker's view of the world. Right? There's New York, nothing else. So it's like everything else is there. So I've said this before. Colin Quinn has a show on a comedy special on Netflix. It's called The History of New York. And if you've never seen it, it's the funniest thing for a New Yorker, maybe not for anybody else. But he says when other people go on a holiday, they go, oh, this is nice. This is really cool. I could live here. This would be really fun. When a New Yorker goes on holiday, and this is so true. I talked to someone yesterday from New York, and we were discussing this. We look at the place and go, these people could never live in New York. That's like our mindset's totally different. Like everyone, I go on holiday with my wife, and my wife said, this is a beautiful place. I'm like, these people couldn't live in New York. And she's just like, but look at the beautiful. I'm like, yeah, but they couldn't live in New York. Who could do this? And so, it's a different mentality. So it's a different thing. And people that aren't from there don't have a clue about it, because the rest of the world is just everything is beautiful, and we're from New York. It's like, go, 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 go. What did you do for me 20 seconds ago? So
Yeah, so
there you
we're
go.
now going to have two old farts making a travel show.
Listen,
That'll be the
there
next
you
thing
go.
we do. And episode number 1, New York.
Yes.
Episode number 2, New York.
New
again.
York. Every episode will be New York. Don't worry about it. There you go.
Episode number 5, not New York.
Not New
Yeah.
York. Right?
Yeah.
Episode number 5 won't be New York.
Yeah, so episode number 5, don't watch because it's not New York. But
Killing me. So fine, be that way. I see how it is. Pick on the guy from New York.
You know what? Funny enough, though, you know what they don't have here in the South? Michigans. They don't even know what a
Michigans?
Michigan is.
Wow.
Mexican, did you say? I
No,
thought you were building-
Michigans.
Michigans.
Oh, I thought you said
Michigans.
I thought you said Mexicans because I know somebody was trying to build a wall to keep them out. So, I mean,
No.
oh, okay.
They try to build a wall to keep Michigans out too, but it's not working. So they got some
Yeah.
lakes. They have boats. It's a whole thing.
Yeah, down south, our very first year here, we went to a restaurant and we wanted some Michigans. And we're trying to explain this to the waitress what a Michigan is, and she's
Oh,
like,
please explain it to me, Mel, because I have no idea no idea. We had a discussion about yesterday. We had a discussion on the last one we did about frying pans. I didn't know anything about, but now it's Michigan. So
Cast iron frying pans,
oh, sorry,
to be exact. Yes.
Sorry, Stephen. Sorry.
a
So, Mel, please.
Michigan is essentially a hot dog with a big juicy meat sauce on it. A sauce with meat, ground up meat.
Okay.
It's
Right.
like a hot dog with chili on it.
Basically, and
yeah.
that's what the restaurant lady thought we were asking for. She kept going, so you mean a chili dog? And I'm like, no, I really don't.
Yeah, but I thought that was like the number 1 tip in all the travel books that I've ever read about New York is don't eat the hot dogs from the street vendors.
No, the street vendors in New York have some of the best food on the planet. Are you kidding? There's a kebab thing next to the Hilton on 56. Oh, the line goes around the block. The best kebabs in the world.
I've actually heard that.
I'm telling you.
Yeah, and of course, kebab is such an American thing. Eh?
Yeah, in fact, can I tell you, everybody in America eats a kebab. All right, well, this show's
But I
got
think
out of hand.
I was going to say on that bombshell, I'd like to thank Mel so very, very much for coming on the show. We're going to have you back, Mel, because we want to see some more stuff that you're doing. Find out, about book number 2 and book number 3 and book number 4, and hopefully in between this being on our show that Benjamin will arrive and really pep up your life. That's what we really hope. But thank you so much.
Everything I need. I have animals and love and this beautiful outside that I get to sit in, 11 months out of the year.
instead of 4. Instead of 4.
But
thank you, Mel.
You're very welcome. As a reminder, everybody can find links to every single one of my marketplaces on my website.
And your website is?
www.melharts.art.
Thank you, Mel. Have a wonderful day. We'll see you soon.
Absolutely. Thank you, guys.